Welcome to the stories on Echoes of Revenge. Step into a world where love turns dangerous, revenge feels inevitable, and every story drags you deeper into the shadows of desire, betrayal, and the human heart. Let's begin today's story. The Zillow notification popped up on my phone at 2:14 p.m. on a Thursday. New listing, 847 Lakeview Drive, Ashwood, $485,000. I was sitting in my office at the architecture firm where I worked, reviewing blueprints for a commercial project, when something about the address made me stop. Lakeview Drive. That was the street where my grandmother's lake house was. The house Grandma Rose had left when she died 2 years ago. I clicked the listing. There it was. Grandma's house. The wraparound porch I'd painted every summer. The dock where I'd learned to fish. The kitchen window with the bird feeder I'd installed. Listed by Kendra Parker, View Realty. Photos showing every room, the lake view, the boat slip. Charming lakefront property with private dock. Perfect for families or investors. Price to sell. My sister's name was on the listing agent's contact information. Vanessa Parker. My younger sister by 4 years. I called her immediately. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and cheerful. Morgan, did you see it? The listing went live this morning. I'm so excited. Brad and I can finally plan the wedding we've been dreaming about. A destination wedding in Tuscany. The equity from Grandma's house is going to make it perfect. My hands went cold. Vanessa, you listed Grandma's house for sale? Obviously. It's just sitting there empty. We might as well use the equity for something meaningful. Brad and I have been engaged for 2 years. We deserve a beautiful wedding. You can't sell Grandma's house. It's not yours to sell. It's not just yours either, Morgan. Grandma left it to both of us. Family property is meant to be shared. I've already talked to Mom and Dad about it. They agree we should sell and split the proceeds. You're being selfish by holding on to it. Vanessa, I don't think you understand. I understand perfectly. You've always been possessive about Grandma's stuff. But I have just as much right to that house as you do. The realtor already has 3 potential buyers interested. We're probably going to get multiple offers. I've already spent the commission on my dress deposit. You spent money you don't have on a dress? I spent half of the equity. It's fine. The sale will close in 6 weeks. Kendra says lakefront properties move fast. She paused. Look, I have to go. Brad and I are meeting the wedding planner. But you should probably start packing up whatever stuff you left there. Buyers don't want to deal with clutter. She hung up before I could respond. I sat at my desk, staring at the Zillow listing, trying to process what had just happened. Vanessa had listed our grandmother's house. The house I'd spent every summer in since I was 6 years old, without asking me. She'd hired a realtor, staged it, photographed it, and put it on the market. She'd spent money she assumed would come from the sale. And she thought she had every right to do it. At 3:47 p.m., I called the title company listed on the Zillow posting. A woman named Janet answered. Mountain Valley Title, this is Janet. Hi, I'm calling about 847 Lakeview Drive. The property that was just listed. I'm one of the owners and I have some questions about the title. Of course. Let me pull up the file. Keyboard clicking. Yes, I see the listing here. We're doing the preliminary title search now. Are you Morgan Hayes or Vanessa Parker? Morgan Hayes. Perfect. I actually need to speak with you. We've encountered some issues with the title that need clarification before we can proceed with any sale. My chest tightened. What kind of issues? The property is held in a trust, the Rose Ellen Hayes Living Trust, established in 2019. According to the trust documents, ownership passes to the primary beneficiary upon Mrs. Hayes's death, not to multiple heirs. The trust lists Morgan Hayes as the sole beneficiary. The room tilted. What? You're the sole owner, Ms. Hayes. Vanessa Parker has no ownership interest in the property. I'm not sure how she obtained authorization to list it for sale, but legally she can't sell property she doesn't own. She thinks we inherited it together. She thinks it's family property. I understand the confusion, but the trust is very clear. Your grandmother specifically structured it to avoid probate and to ensure you and only you inherited the lake house. There's even a clause stating that Vanessa Parker has no claim to the property under any circumstances. I sat back in my chair trying to breathe. Why would Grandma do that? I can't speak to your grandmother's motivations, But these kinds of trust structures are common when someone wants to ensure a specific person receives a specific asset. The trust was filed with the county in 2019, 2 years before Mrs. Hayes passed away. It's completely legal and binding. What happens now? Well, the listing needs to be taken down immediately. Ms. Parker has no authority to sell the property. I'll contact the listing agent and inform her of the title issue. If Ms. Parker has already accepted any deposits or signed any contracts, those will need to be voided. And if she spent money based on assumed proceeds from this sale, that's not a legal problem, that's a personal financial issue. After the call ended, I sat in my office for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. Grandma Rose had left me the lake house. Not Vanessa. Just me. And she'd done it deliberately, through a trust that specifically excluded my sister. I'd spent 2 years thinking the house belonged to both of us. 2 years avoiding the topic of what to do with it because I knew Vanessa would want to sell. 2 years feeling guilty for wanting to keep it. And the entire time it had been mine. At 5:23 p.m., my phone exploded with texts from Vanessa. What did you do? Kendra just called and said there's a title problem. She said I can't sell the house because I don't own it. This is your fault. You told them to block the sale. How could you do this to me? I already bought my dress. Brad's parents are going to think I'm a fraud. Call me now. I didn't respond. Instead, I drove to the county clerk's office and requested a copy of the Rose Ellen Hayes Living Trust. The clerk found it in under 5 minutes. The document was 12 pages long. On page 4, in clear legal language, upon the death of the grantor, all property held in this trust shall pass to Morgan Elizabeth Hayes, sole beneficiary. Vanessa Marie Parker shall have no claim, interest, or right to any property held within this trust. There was more. A letter from Grandma Rose attached to the trust documents. To my granddaughter Morgan, I leave the lake house because you are the one who loved it as I did. You helped me paint the porch every summer. You learned my recipes. You sat with me on the dock and talked about your dreams. You were present. Vanessa visited twice in 10 years. She asked for money on both occasions. I love her, but she doesn't value what can't be spent or sold. The lake house is for someone who understands its worth beyond a dollar amount. That person is you. Don't feel guilty about this. You earned it by being the granddaughter who showed up. I sat in my car in the parking lot and cried. At 6:47 p.m. Vanessa called. I answered. How could you do this? She screamed. How could you trick Grandma into leaving you everything? You manipulated her. You turned her against me. I didn't manipulate anyone, Vanessa. I didn't even know about the trust until today. That's a lie. You knew. You've known this whole time and you let me list the house anyway so you could humiliate me. I found out at the same time you did. When the title company called. You're lying. This is exactly like you. Always acting like you're better than me, like you deserve more. Well, I'm not letting you get away with it. I'm hiring a lawyer. I'm contesting the trust. Grandma wasn't in her right mind when she wrote it. Grandma was perfectly lucid. She established the trust 2 years before she died. She was 68 and completely healthy. She was manipulated. By you. You spent all that time at the lake house sucking up to her, and this is why. You wanted the house all along. I spent time with Grandma because I loved her. You visited twice in 10 years. I was busy. I had a life. I couldn't just drop everything to paint porches and pretend to like fishing. Nobody asked you to pretend anything. But you also can't inherit a relationship you didn't have. Vanessa's voice went cold. I already spent $8,000 on my wedding dress and deposits for the venue in Tuscany. That money was supposed to come from the house sale. If you don't agree to sell and split the proceeds, I'm suing you for the money. You can't sue me for money from a house you don't own. Watch me. She hung up. Over the next 3 days, the situation escalated. The Zillow listing was taken down. Kendra Parker, the realtor, called me directly to apologize and confirm she'd been misled about the ownership structure. The 3 potential buyers who'd expressed interest were informed the property was no longer available. Vanessa sent me 47 text messages ranging from pleading, "Please Morgan, I'm begging you, just agree to sell and split it, I'll lose everything," to threatening, "My lawyer says we can prove undue influence, you'll end up with nothing." My parents called. My mother's voice was tight with disapproval. "Morgan, your sister is in crisis. She's already made financial commitments based on the assumption she'd have equity from the house. The least you could do is help her out. It's family property. It's not family property, Mom. It's my property. Grandma left it to me in a trust. Grandma Rose was old. She probably didn't understand what she was signing. And even if she did, it's cruel to keep everything when your sister needs help. Vanessa needs help because she spent money she didn't have on a wedding she can't afford. That's not my problem. She's your sister. And I'm her sister. But that doesn't obligate me to fund her destination wedding by selling a house I don't want to sell. My mother's voice went ice cold. You've always been selfish. Your grandmother spoiled you and now look what it's created. I hope you can live with yourself. She hung up. Vanessa did hire a lawyer. He sent a letter threatening to contest the trust based on undue influence and questionable testamentary capacity. My attorney, a probate specialist named Michael Torres, reviewed the letter and laughed. This is nonsense. The trust was established 2 years before your grandmother died. She was evaluated by her physician and found competent. The trust language is crystal clear. Vanessa has no case. Her lawyer knows it. This is a pressure tactic. What do I do? Nothing. Let them file if they want. They'll lose and they'll waste money on legal fees. In the meantime, the house is yours. Do whatever you want with it. 6 weeks later, Vanessa's lawyer withdrew from the case. Apparently Vanessa couldn't pay his retainer once she realized the lawsuit would cost more than she could possibly win. The final text message she sent me was, "I hope you enjoy that house. Cost me my wedding and my relationship with Brad." He broke off the engagement because I misrepresented my financial situation. I hope Grandma's house was worth destroying my life. I didn't respond. 3 months later, I spent my first full weekend at the lake house as its sole owner. I repainted the porch, the same soft blue Grandma Rose had always used. I sat on the dock and watched the sunset. I cooked her recipes in the kitchen that now belonged to only me. On the fridge, I found a note in Grandma's handwriting, tucked behind a magnet. Must have been there for years. "Morgan, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't feel guilty about the house. I gave it to you because you earned it by showing up. Love isn't about blood or obligation. It's about presence. You were present. That's all that mattered to me. Enjoy the lake. Fish off the dock. Paint the porch when it needs it. And remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for accepting a gift you deserved. Love, Grandma." I kept the note. Vanessa and I haven't spoken since. My parents send occasional emails suggesting I do the right thing and sell the house to help Vanessa recover financially. I delete them without responding. The lake house is mine. Grandma Rose gave it to me not because I manipulated her but because I showed up. Because I painted porches and learned recipes and sat on the dock and listened to her stories. Because I loved her not for what she could give me but for who she was. Vanessa loved what she thought she could get. There's a difference. And that difference in the end meant everything.